days, but I've also had better days in my life.
How was your trip?
Oh, it was good. We had a couple of good days of weather, and then all of a sudden, I mean, it just turned out to be like super freezing out of nowhere. And needless to say, we were not ready for it as much as we could have been. So, yeah. But it was good overall. We went to a couple of museums. It's just harder with two kids and a pregnant wife to do a whole lot. I did average about 27,000 steps, which even Apple
Wow.
phone didn't believe it. So that was good. A lot of walking and a lot of pizza and bagels. Whoever recommended Brooklyn bagels, you're the champ. Oh my god. Brooklyn bagels, probably the best bagels in New York. If I don't know if you live there, but man, those are so freaking good. So yeah, I had a lot of bagels and pizza. And somebody recommended the Via Carota Italian place. That place was really, really good too. So we had a lot of good food and a lot of sightseeing with the kiddos. All right. So how's everybody's week trading?
It was okay.
Seems like they gave you a couple of good moves, right? Some of these moves were to be expected, but then they gave you a lot of Friday nasty chop, and I would say Friday for the most part. If you guys, let me just go on the smaller chart here. If you guys look at this, Friday was not really tradable. You know, if you guys look at this, just you have to start recognizing the type of days you're having, and you want to avoid trading as much as possible if you're not familiar how to trade it, right? So here, if you guys look, you know, this is your high here that was set, initial balance high, and then this was obviously the low right here. I think that's, yeah. So this was the IBL and IBH, and from the day's perspective, if you're chopping like this, eventually you're going to get a burst of a move somewhere. So usually when this happens, you know, playing the trend line breaks, and it's fairly obvious, right, where they were headed kind of here. Then they broke it, but then there was a lot of choppiness. All these candles as you're pushing up and you get these nasty pullbacks, it's not really tradable unless you're playing quick, right? I mean, I'm sure some of the moves, you know, from like, let's say 2 o'clock to here, you could have made decent money in targeting IBH, but you had to have been patient till 2:15, and a lot of you guys lack the discipline to sit and wait. Instead, you know, you're just kind of itching for the trade and you want to get in there now. Well, the market's not always going to be tradable, right? Just like business doesn't always make money by being open, doesn't make sense for you to be trading something that's not tradable. And if you look at the volume profile here, I mean, this is it's pretty, you know, close to a B shape. Then obviously they kind of ran it up, right, and they closed on a higher note. And usually, just a kind of a statistic. Usually, when you're closed Monday, that Friday tends to be a run up, right? And that's just historically that's how they do it. So that's something you can watch for. But these days, it's just better to turn it off, knowing Monday you're off, and then you see here now on this, you know, you really have to reclaim this level if you're going to go any higher. That's 40.96. We're kind of hovering now, I believe you're right there at, see, 40.70. But we really haven't broken much yet of anything, right? So it seems like we're holding that POC there. Let's take a look. Now, hopefully you guys have some levels marked. I did add February dev value area low and the POC just in case they want to start running this up to the, you know, higher positions here. This is our area where they can reject, but it seems like if they're to get over 40.92, I would say this shelf right here, if they get over 4100 right here, there's a high chance they're going to go to 4132, and I would expect them to do that. So just keep that in mind. If we do get the Feb area accepted again inside, that's a really bullish sign here. There's a strong chance, and then they could push it all the way to the value area high, which would be somewhere. I guess I didn't have it marked. Let's see. So it would be up to here, right? So 40, 41.75. So they'll probably target that if they can close this month inside the February value area. Keep that in mind as you're trading, just so you know where your bias is, because it's key that you have your bias. And we use the value area highs and lows and value areas of previous months, weeks to determine where we are and how we can trade that, right? So if I switch this to the weeklies, change that 65, see what it says. Okay, so what do you guys see? Any confluence? You guys see that level right here? So if I adjust that one to match it perfectly, this becomes my previous weekly too. So this level will be pretty hard here to get over, and you can draw a little zone just because we know that level was a little bit higher. There, I think it was 41.12. So something like this. If you're going to get in, we have to reclaim this level here. You're out of the balance here. So if you guys look at these weeks right now, if you look at the 4-week balance, the 4-week low is somewhere around here, which is what, 4,000 level. We are outside of pretty much, well, we're going to test this one here shortly, 472. So what does that tell you guys so far here? If you're to make a like a bias, how do you use this data that you see here?
Slightly bearish because you broke out of that balance. The January value area high.
That's correct. Yeah. So here you had a short cover rally here and then another one. And then obviously we closed below, we dipped below it. Then you got back inside and you guys see the acceptance here of this. And this is, if you're new to volume profile, pay attention between this week and this week. From here, you popped under, you lost the value area, correct? And then look how quickly they brought back inside and look at the tap here. That was their acceptance. That was them, accepting this value, and now we lost it again. So it would not make sense that they just go sometimes, and they can definitely do that. They can go run it down, but it would be wise for them to come back here and reject it at 41.05. So I would play the retest of this just because it was accepted, lost. Now it's time to retest, reject. So this is where the bears need to come in and kind of defend. The worst case, if they get in here, they're most likely pushing it for 27 points to POC. And I would not short this POC instantly. I would want it to pop above, show me the weakness, and then short under. But let's see how Feb plays out. We don't have a lot of days left here. What, like 7 days? So it'll be interesting, and they're tapping some liquidities here below. I do think this January POC here, it's actually a VPOC, is going to be tapped fairly soon here. So I would think they do that this week if they're going to execute, just because there's a lot of, I guess, bad news in the market. I don't know how they're going to shape it up. Bouncing off the PD POC so far, obviously this is a perfect bounce. We are inside, the value area of the previous day, and I'm using Friday as my previous day. I don't know what your guys' data is showing, but it doesn't make sense to use today as the previous day. So just make sure you're using Friday for it. So let's see, let me bring it up. So here's the levels that I have. POC, so we bounced. Obviously, if one wants to short this for 5 points, you could, but it's just not my cup of tea to get 5 points on a play here. We'll be looking for a little bit bigger move than that. So what do you guys see now? If you're to lose this level, what happens? Let's say you lose value area low. How do you guys play it?
You'd find the next value area it'll go to find value.
Okay. Is there anyone else to see something else?
I'd say, well, one, I think we were kind of almost at an SR flip area, especially looking at the past. But I would do your fixed range volume profile and try and see an accumulation of it, where like the next highest volume node would be going down, and definitely look for retest to try and figure out where my levels would be to target.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Just make sure you notice the January value area high and where we are. That's what I was leading to for you guys. Remember, previous month value area is fairly important because right now you're in February and you just did what to it?
went
Agreed.
into Jan.
We lost February and we're back in January.
Exactly. That's a big deal, right? So, and we know when we checked the weekly just moments ago that we are pretty much out of the balance on the 4-week balance, right? So if you guys look at this and go on 65, here's your 4-week balance. And the only one that's holding right now is this 471 level or 472 and a half quarter. And then below that, I mean, you don't have much until you get to this level right here, 409. That's next week's value area, which happens to be the POC or VPOC of January. Yeah, is there a congestion here? I mean, yeah, they accumulated here for a little bit. And it seems like this level, ever since we popped, we never came back to it. So there's potential that, of course, they're going to bounce it at that 4,000. I would expect this range to be a little bit, draw a cloud around it. They can definitely bounce this. So 410 to 415. And then, of course, the even numbers of 4,000. They can play that. But then you have a couple of levels, again, that they never revisited, right? So, a lower level, January value area low, we came to it here and we never really tested this level again. And I would say here you have a VPOC as well. So let me make sure on 30 minutes shows up. Probably won't. So it shifts up to the beep case here. But I would expect this area to be, and then there's a VPOC here at 3830. So some of these levels that are like a lot of meat in between, especially between this one and January value at low, I think that happens fairly quick. Whatever the news we get in the next couple of days, this from here to here is a high probability play, just because of the 80% rule on the monthlies, and that usually requires 2 to 3 weeks play time. So keep that in mind. I think that's the area that they're going to be targeting here shortly on ES. And then, of course, we're going to watch this POC, see if they are able to lose that. So here's a 39.84. This is a current, and the previous one is sitting right here at 39.70. So first they're going to test this one. So 39. Yeah. So I think they're most likely headed to the January value area, get a bounce here, reject the POC, come back to value area low, enter this Q4 of 2022. And I think they make their way towards the bottom here, 36.70, if that's how they want to play it. This would be the level of interest. Okay. Any questions on this chart? Yeah, it seems like January POC is going to happen. The VPOC. And I would personally take the calls over 490 here to 4105, because this area here is going to be pretty quick. If you guys grab the FVP here and just go to the bottom, it's going to be a quick one here. So once they get in here, they might have a little bit of resistance here, but then ultimately they're going to push towards this. So even over the PD value area high, one could take this on a retest and drive it 23 points up. So I'll watch this to see how we open, right? And then you also have a nice trend line here, and then also a trend line on the bottom if you guys pay attention to it. So I'd watch this here.
4106.50 is a VPOC.
4106.50?
Yep.
Yeah. Let me check. Seems like it's very close to that POC right there. Yeah. Yep. So I think they could target that along with this. I mean, this would be a big level here. This would be a pretty good level to short, in my opinion, here. Yeah, this would be a pretty good level considering it has a VPOC. I can get to it. Maybe not. There we go. So that's a big level then. It was big before, but now it's even bigger. If they pop this over, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get that 23 points. And then below the PD value area low, know that they've had some liquidity here, right? You guys see this, they came, they filled it, now they left some here. Not a lot, but you know, they accumulated here. There's a lot of exchanges here. So let's see, usually when you see a liquidity, you want a nice bounce of it and run away from it. So let's see what they do. I would think they want to tap this, but if they lose this 40-50, I mean, you have 34 points to the downside. I would say below 40-50, that's going to be pretty much a put wall at 40-50 from gamma perspective as well. It was last week. So if we do get this 40-50 lost, I would say I was shorted for about 34 points. In between here, I just don't see the kind of necessary, the risk reward for me to short it. And at this level, you guys see these two lines lined up perfectly. It's a double XPOC. I'm not gonna take a short right here and not expect a bounce like they had initially here. So I would expect them to do some kind of magic and defend this. I'll short below 40-50 here. So 40-50 short, unless, you know, we open right above PD value area high, fall back inside, then of course I'll play the 80% rule. But on a downfall, I would wait for 40-50 to be cracked. Okay, that any questions?
Nope.
Is that clear to everyone? You have a plan, you stick to the plan, you don't deviate from a plan. If you have a different plan, that's okay. You just stick to your plan. Okay. All right, so that's ES. We'll do NQ just to make sure. See what they got. And what was that drawing here? For now, I'm just going to hide volume for a moment so I can see. Guys, look at the Sunday low right here that they gave you. Came back on Friday at 1 o'clock, retested it, and then of course they didn't make a higher high, but they came for a retest. Very interesting here. Why did I do this? Does anyone know why?
Today's low.
Okay, this is Friday still, right? This is shown Friday so far. You guys see this gap that they left? We'll make sure you guys have this one here. Identify, and what's gonna happen tomorrow morning is that you're gonna have some kind of gap as well, most likely. So I'll definitely watch that, and then you guys switch this to, you know, let's see, you close right here. This is Friday, and then so you have this one. There's a little bit of gap, not much. Here's our Sunday low here. Make sure you do this. the range here that they're giving you. That's a pretty good range if you ask me. This is pretty good here. If you want to consider that the low of Sunday on Monday, yeah, it's not bad range. I mean, 100 points on NQ is pretty good, in my opinion. It's interesting to see something here. Yeah, this level is going to be. Does anyone see why this level is going to be important?
It's a D profile, so if they reclaim it, most likely they'll test the upper end of the range.
If they do reclaim this, you're going to get this. But something to notice when you look at these profiles like this one, see this, they accumulated here. What did they do from there? They created a nice imbalance, right? So this is a nice, whatever you want to call it, order block that popped higher. And usually when I look for order blocks, some people like the wicks. I don't personally like the wicks. I hate when this happens. So I'll delete this for a moment. So this would be the order block that I'm interested in, right? If you're, and I don't know if I think Sequence might have a script for order blocks, but this is an order block that, you know, is going to be important. And if you look at this now, they came here, they lost that, and then they showed a couple of X, then they set up a trap here, and then they went down. And here comes another guy. It means it almost seems like the same dude came in at the same level and caused a push higher. And then look at this. It's similar to the POC that we had, that we identified earlier. If I guys look now. Look at that. So that tells you immediately at these orders, right, that they had, there was some volume for the action that we had today, right? I mean, there wasn't a lot of volume to begin with, but for whatever it's worth, this level is going to be heavy. There's a lot of balances and imbalances caused from it here. Then they came back, reclaimed it. You see how they went higher and popped. And then they here, and it's much easier, as I always tell you, it's so much easier to do this. If they pop through here, you can play the retest. Yeah, it makes sense, right? If this was resistance, if they come back, but it's not going to work every time. Hence why you have to have a stop loss and risk management. But my favorites when you lose something like this and you quickly reclaim it, those retests to me are my favorite setups because usually they yield the best results. And same on the losing side. Like here, and it's not very clean. There's just a lot of cluster here. So if they reclaim this and reclaim it here, high chance at least play it to the value area high. I mean, that's, what is that, like 12, what's that, like 30 points almost. So it'd be a good play here on a shorter span. And I'll probably target that they're going to hit this gap here fairly soon. I'm just going to remove this because we're going to go in SVP. Look at the structure of it. Yeah, they had a letter E here. And a nice short cover rally. This was beautiful here. Wow, this was nice here. This was super nice. So what can you tell about these two profiles? Anyone?
They're both D profiles.
What else?
The value
Yeah.
area was not, sorry, go ahead.
Say it again.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I was gonna say like the value area never made a higher high, so they're not able to find like value above.
Very good. So they're not willing to facilitate prices seem like above 12,402 right now. So if you see here, what happened every time they facilitated the price above? Push. They facilitated slightly above, push. They're like, just think about this. Think about this as, remember the peanut butter shop example I gave you guys? Does everybody recall it?
Yes.
So this is a peanut butter guy right here saying, hey man, I'm just going to increase the peanut butter price from $5 to $9. When he did that, what happened to the people buying peanut butter?
Nope.
They're like, man, we just can't afford it. That's too much. There's no value buying peanut butter at that price. So then they step back, and then the guy has so much peanut butter that he goes, okay, well, let's see if you're willing to buy it here. And there are some people willing to buy it, right? Not a lot. I would say they didn't they didn't push this higher, right? But what happened when they pushed the price a little bit lower here? I mean, if you think about it, there is some shelves here if you guys zoom in. So yeah, there's a little bit here, right? Right there in this area, and then I don't know, this is midday. Well, this is what, 4 o'clock. Okay, so let's not look at this. When they push the price a little bit lower here, what happens?
They bought.
So you get this, you get a little bit of buyers, right? So if you look at this level right here, you know, you had this. Let me not make sure it's extended, right? What happened here? Look at this level right now. Was there a buyer sitting here at this level?
Yes.
So think about this same concept that, you know, we kind of cover multiple times. And you know, the devil is in the details, and that's where a lot of people kind of fail. If you look at this right here, they brought the price down aggressively, right? And then you had some buyers push the price back up here, right? From this level, you see the wicks, almost like a failed auction there. And then they accumulated a little bit and created an imbalance, and then brought it back right to it. So this guy, what does he know about this? So think about it. You're a peanut butter shop guy. You dropped the price here previously, and what happened to your inventory?
Got bought.
Yeah, your inventory got bought, and then you're like, holy crap, I can't afford to have peanut butter constantly at this price, because if the peanut butter is constantly at $4, can he make money?
Then I'm losing money, right?
Yeah, he's going to lose money. So what he quickly has to find, he has to find balance. So they pop it, they goes to extreme, and then of course, media, whatever, news, they drive this up a little bit, and then again, people are like, well, man, I'm not going to pay this much. I was able to get it this much. And the same story in the market. Your job as a trader is to figure out the value, the fair value, and when the price accumulates and when the auction is not taking it to a certain level, and especially here, 2 days in a row, you know, you fell back inside and you're just unable to have any, I mean, besides this candle here on 30 minutes that went above, this is the only candle at 8 o'clock on Monday, I guess, today that went above. And what do you see?
Right back
Oh,
then.
no, they said, no, not today. We don't like the peanut butter at this price. Bring it back. And usually, where does the peanut butter shop guy want to bring the price? He wants to bring the price to equilibrium. And what is POC?
The equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
That's the equilibrium. That means he's going to bring it back. And what happens at the POC from volume perspective?
That's where the most activity happens.
The most activity happens. So if I'm a peanut butter shop guy, well, I want to get it to the price where I'm going to get the most buyers there, right? Most buyers, more sellers. Even if they sell outside my shop, that's okay. It's still my product going out of the door and exchanging hands. So same thing here, right? He, you know, they didn't like the price twice. So now this level is fairly important, right? And especially if we break this level here, you know, 12,402, I would necessarily not go long here over this level. If I was to play something like a quick spike, would be over the POC, you know, here to the next level here. So I would play maybe 16, 17 points here. I would not play from here to here because they're making lower highs. They're not even hitting the Monday high yet. You know, first time they didn't make it, second time. So I don't know what the probability is that they will. So I wouldn't take this necessarily here just because I know they're not willing to go and facilitate auction there.
Big risk.
So for me, the risk reward is not here. If I see that they're breaking above POC, well, then I know, you know, there's a lot of buyers there before. There's a lot of volume there. They can spike that area as long as they hold that level above. And now you see them reclaiming this POC right here. And that's actually bullish. That's fairly bullish. Now, if they can pop it to this level, I would go long off of this one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is a big level that they're reclaiming now. So hopefully this makes sense. That was a really good analysis case, and that you saw it. They're not facilitating price higher. And for a lot of you guys, you know, this right here is responsible sellers. When they're so responsible like this, it's really hard to break them until what comes?
Initiative.
Also,
Initiative
buyers.
buyers.
Initiative buyers need to come in here and they need to drive this price, heavily. Because if you think about this, once they break this right here, let's say they break this, you get in on a break of 12,467. Any big levels that you see here, I mean, besides this cluster that they didn't respect much to begin with, there was accumulation supposedly.
No.
I mean, the next one they will be targeting is probably this 12.7.
Wow.
So now if you think about it, is it worth patience to wait for 12,467? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
If I know that there's a high chance once they accumulate here, because then what happens? This is
You're
my
gonna-
favorite part about the
gonna-
auction, right?
gonna
If
get a big old spike, just like it came down, it's gonna go back up.
so now this guy is selling peanut butter and his peanut butter goes $14. And the news come out, there's a peanut butter shortage. What happens to the peanut butter price?
Up.
It's going to quickly accumulate, right? The buyers are going to show up because people love peanut butter. Who bought toilet paper in 2020 and COVID?
Whew, everybody.
Whenever I could find it.
You couldn't find it.
Well, I'm just saying, to me, logically speaking, I could live without toilet paper, right? But for some reason, Americans, when the crisis comes, the first thing they buy is toilet paper, right? And it's the same thing here, right? Just replace the goods, and you can have the same kind of impact, right? So the peanut butter guy, if they're able to drive this price at least above here, I would turn bullish. Is that far? 110 points? Yeah, sure, it's far. But do you want to trade this right here? I personally don't like trading this too much where it's, look at this price action here. You don't want to be trading that. You want to be playing, if you know this was a balance to imbalance, then you're playing this balance retest, the POC retest. And here they lost it, now they're reclaiming. So come here, and then I'll take you long again here. I just need you to go get up to here, because this was previously what? Right here.
Previous balance.
It was a previous balance, right? So they accumulated here, and if you just grab the POC, I'll hide this guy. So if you just grab this POC, last night I was mentioning a couple of shorts. If I wasn't tired, I was going to take it. But look at this. Watch what happens here. It's going to happen next 15 minutes. Well, I don't know. 30 points. They might not have the juice. This level here, just mark it on your level, and you'll see if you're scalping, you could catch this from here to the bottom. And I mean, if I'm going to short, let's say I short from here. Let's say I enter a short here. Where's my stop loss?
Right above the red line.
Right above the red line.
Yep, PD, POC.
So, and then I know, this is my target here, and I look at this trade. If I'm a 1.5 trader, this is good. Otherwise, I don't know if I would take this. Because it looked good at first, but when you put it in the reward perspective, it's like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't want to be like the Chargers guy that put $11 million to make $10,000 and lose it all. So that's where your probabilities and your ratios come into play, right? It's good that you see the setups, but is it worth it? Am I going to make money? And if you're used to trading 4 or 5 points, that's okay. Well, then, if this is your, let's say you get in here, right? When you put, stop loss right here, most likely I would say you're going to get stopped if your stop loss is here. Even if it's here, most likely you're going to get stopped. If it's here, like slightly above it, you might survive. There was some liquidity here in a failed auction. Ideally, you want it kind of above it somewhere like this, but the ratio just doesn't make sense, right? So it looked good at the beginning, but if you're this type of trader, then maybe it is, a good trade for you. It's just something that I would not take. Because remember, you pay commission. I pay commissions on futures. I don't want to get into 50 contracts or 10 contracts or whatever that is multiple times in the day. I want to get into a trade, get, decent amount of points, 15, 20 points, and be done with it.
Sorry, I have to ask Shorty, so are you a bidet user? That's why you don't need toilet paper?
Sure.
No, because you're European. I mean, it would make sense. I use a bidet. I'm European too.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I like it, but I still like toilet paper. But it's not the first thing on my mind when I see COVID.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think about food first, not what comes out of me, I guess. All right. So this is pretty good. I would honestly watch this just to see what they do and how they open. I would actually short it at the POC here instead of that. Most likely they're going to tap this area right here. So if you guys think about the POC, this was your range. I would say this is, the cluster you're looking to short somewhere in here. I don't draw the zones, but I strongly suggest that you guys do if you're not familiar with it. Use that. But here I would expect that we're going to be revisiting at least 12.6 here fairly soon. Let's look at the PVP on a monthly. How are we doing here? Oh my God. This is the first one to fall. Does everybody get the picture here, or I need to explain this one? Who can explain this one? This is pretty nasty here. TJ, you got it?
No.
Anyone else?
I think it lost that higher value area low, so it's gonna find the next area of value. So most likely it's headed to like 11,800.
Has
Well, so
it's-
where we're bouncing from, it doesn't look like we're making higher highs, and so it's gonna
look where you're
gravitate.
bouncing at.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not making higher highs from there. So
Yeah, it's
we're gonna gravitate down to that POC that you just drew.
yeah. This is our run up POC. I mean, this is pretty much the last hope before they head down and test the 11.7 here, 11.778.
And
Because
then
this would be this would be
11.5.
their valid. Yeah, this would be the correct. This would be their validation of what if they come here. What would you expect to see here? Remember, same thing happened on ES not too long ago when we talked about. You guys recall September value area high where it was 41.57. You guys recall that on ES?
Yep.
So let me show you on ES. Where's 41? Okay, I'm a little bit dyslexic. 41.51.75. Okay, so this was our level, right? And we knew that they're going to target this from from almost the bottom of it when they started running this thing up here. They ran up here, right? But they're not able to hold this. They're not able to validate that they want to find a new zone higher, right? They popped a few times, right? There were certain levels to the left, right, that we know from the quarterly perspective that they wanted to reject that. There was also the 422.5 that TJ mentioned a few times. So we know that there were some levels, but this is the widest balance that we had pretty much in the year of 2022. And here, you're not really finding the value from it. So if you're not able to find value, then most likely you're just going to be hitting the next balance area. And here, if you guys think about it, right? So 476, I mentioned this to you guys last night. Once you lose this right here, high chance, of course, that we're going to be going down. Is it going to be a straight shut down? Probably not. You're going to have some bounces here, like this level we identified earlier.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept on NQ. Now they just got to find the next value. And it's just that this one is a little bit different than ES in terms of setup. It's drastically different, right? I mean, you really don't have much, besides this POC that they're going to be sitting at 11.9. You can call it in a little zone here, 11.95. So, this is going to be a good bounce zone right here. And if you guys think about it, they reclaimed it, they popped higher, and now they're most likely coming back to this level on NQ. So this is going to be a good level for it. And then this is going to be the acceptance level of January value area high. So this is going to be a major level here. This is going to be this is going to tell us if the market wants to go higher or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to be fairly big here. And then of course, this POC here is fairly low. I mean, this is what, almost 800 points away. It's not that bad on ES, right? So it seems like ES has better structure if you guys just kind of compare side to side than NQ, because that ES VPOC was at 416, if I'm not mistaken. So that one is 416 and a half. So I mean, the distance is not much, right? In terms of percentages, I would say NQ's in a little bit of trouble here. And what happens here if you break this level here? Just look at my cursor now. Once you break this level, what happens?
You're going to that run up POC.
You're pretty much, a very high percentage you're going to go there. Are they going to bounce it here and scare some shorts out?
Yeah, there's a chance you get a bounce
Most
there as
likely.
well.
I know you have some bounces in between. It's not something like, oh my God, I got here. You can manage your position, right? If you get in, on the short side from here, from that level, I'll probably wait for this liquidity to be cleared a little bit and for them to kind of tap, give us a fake and come back. And that would be the short.
You would
Right.
also probably form a bear flag at that level as well.
Yeah, so we want to clear this here. I'll just move this back. We want to clear this. There's a lot of liquidity. There's an accumulation zone that we popped from. Now we popped from that zone, but as Drew mentioned, catching rockets, we did not really make any highs here. So if you guys think about the structures of the market, right? If this was our structure high or previous higher, lower high, it didn't even come close to it. And you have this nasty 4-hour candle here. So depending on how they push tonight and this 4-hour candle, whatever they do here, let's see, how it closes. Well, this is fairly nasty so far. We at least want to, I would say this L 467 has to be broken for me to consider going long now. And if we see that they're holding this level, then it's a different story, right? That then could be something else. But I think they're gonna try to break this. Let's see. What do you guys see here? I know it's not clear, but what do you guys see on volume perspective, 7-day volume?
Decreasing.
Yeah, so there's your pin bar on 7 days, and then there's an uptick in volume average. And here's your buying candles, which don't agree here. There's an anomaly here in 7 days across NQ. And then if you guys look at the major carriers of NQ, let me just hide this for a moment so you guys can see it.
Hmm.
Here's your Apple. I mean, this looks like a disaster. Right, so here you have drastically falling volume till what?
Then you get that big volume on that pin bar.
And then you get the pin. If you go
Big
to
anomaly.
cooling pages, I think about 65 or 68 page on cooling book, you're going to see something very similar to a buyer's exhaustion here coming up shortly.
Of course, Shorty has the page memorized.
Unbelievable.
So just keep an eye on this. This is going to be our kind of tell sign on the market. We want to lose this level. There's no buyers. This is all retail buying Apple at a cheap price right here at 124. As you guys know, I'm not touching this till it hits about 90 or less. I have 90 and 50 on this, so this is gonna be ideal level for me to add Apple. I'm not buying a single share till it comes here though. Probably wait and buy a bunch here. And if somebody would like to bet that it's not going to get there, I'll take that bet now.
What number is that?
50.86.
Wow.
Does it look like it's forming a distribution at the very top?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you look here, I'll give you a little, watch this now. So I grabbed the wick here, hits this wick, bounced, lost, retest down, and now you're hitting this again and you're forming another one. I mean, it has a little bit of, I guess, shelf here building because that's where it accumulated from before, if you guys look. So this is actually an ascending triangle in this format. This is a bullish ascending triangle. That's what it should be. That's where they accumulated. And now you see here, if you go here, you break that level, you're going to accelerate this thing down. And then you see this level here. Once this is lost, 108, I mean, you have $26 drop on Apple. That's going to be fairly quick. So I'm watching this level. I know it sounds crazy, but AMD also sounded crazy at 150. And it hit the level, right?
Even
I'm
Tesla
all,
300.
you actually said that it's not, remember? You're
Yeah.
the one that was, you said it's not gonna
But I
happen.
still sold. I didn't want to take a bet.
Let's look at Tesla for you guys. I don't know who's buying this. If Charlie Munger is not buying it, I don't know. I don't mind Charlie at all. I think he's a good investor. I just can't get behind SPX and buying shares of companies that make up high percentage when PE is like at 19 right now for SPX price to earnings. I mean, I just can't put my money into something like that right now. I'd rather not make money than sleep every night and wonder what the hell is going to happen tomorrow morning. So this is probably headed to 180. And as you guys know, we had, I think if CK is on, I think it was 221 and a half. 222, close enough, I guess. Okay, or maybe it was and a half. I mean, we are very close. I would say we tapped this, guys. And in my book, this is pretty tapped. So that came, I would say, very close if you extend these. I mean, it's not the cleanest POC, fairly good distribution on it. So it could go to low as this right here. I wouldn't, unless you grab the whole damn value area, high and low. That's pretty big wide range. It's 15 points. Funny enough, we never close inside this value area low here on the daily. You guys see that? Interesting.
That's wild.
Yeah. A lot of retail is going to see a simple pattern here and they're going to get destroyed here, in my opinion. But let's see. You guys see what they see?
It looks like an inverse head and shoulders forming.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's exactly what it looks like. And then you check 7 days and then you're like, whoa. Anyone see anything different?
Decreasing volume.
Yeah, this is retail about to get screwed.
Yeah, you have V-shaped recovery into a major resistance level with volume decreasing as
Yeah,
you're
so
approaching
now,
that resistance level.
now watch this.
You're about to get clappy clapped.
I'll delete all of these things, just leave candles there. What do you see now? Support, bounce,
Support turned into resistance.
Beautiful, right? It looks so good. This is like a really, really good short level. I'm still in swing shorts for Tesla, actually. So let's see how they do. To me, this is a good setup that I had to take, so I have it. Google's in a little bit of trouble. And the 7-day candle here, I mean, this is pretty heavy selling. It's almost identical to the COVID sell-off here.
Oh shit! Look at that.
It's pretty big.
Wow.
I honestly think this is gonna go. I think it's gonna find the POC here, guys. So if you guys look at the monthly, for instance, here, I would say it's gonna be in this range right here. I know it sounds crazy, but retail's gonna come in and scoop it up. But I honestly think they're gonna be finding the POC around here. So for shares, I'm not interested in again until it gets to 50. And that's where my patience comes in, and I'll just wait till it comes in, put an order in as it approaches, and I'll patiently buy it at 50 instead of buying it at 100. And remember, I'll give you a clue. When AMD was falling, everybody said, man, the 100 is not going to be broken, right? So let me put 100 levels somewhere around here. Right? Were they wrong? No. And then they added more here, and then they got clapped for 20% loss. And then they bought more, and then they really got clapped here. I mean, if you're buying at 110 and it dipped 71, and you didn't manage properly, so it's still making lower highs. It did make a higher low here, so it broke the structure at this point, but now it's below that one too. So now if they're not able to, I would say if they reclaim this 80 point, it has a chance to go higher, right? And this looks, I would say it looks like a bull flag. So they can probably trap some more people unless they really have a reason to go to. I just don't think this industry is going to recover as fast people think. I think AI is used as a liquidity exit tool. Well, do you guys remember anything else that was used as a exit? Recently, news, something hot comes out, everybody hops in it. You guys remember anything about this talk?
Metaverse.
The metaverse, right? The metaverse crap came out, and I mean, it was going crazy. This stock
I
was
still
at,
don't understand what's the
Yeah, I
value of
remember that.
metaverse. Like, what would it give?
you would get a virtual something. I have no idea what.
Yeah, it's a virtual reality stuff.
So I would say this is going to 154 out. I'd be willing to bet my life on it.
But can I get some virtual paintings for my virtual something?
Yeah, this look. I mean, look at this. So if you guys again read Anna Cooling page, a couple of pages actually, she mentioned on every page. If you pay attention to this volume, effort versus the result, this does not make any sense. So this was somebody's opportunity to offload as much as possible here. And then I think they just announced, I don't know if it's true, the Facebook Blue. I mean, I just don't know who's going to pay for it, considering there's already I don't know. I don't know if people hate Facebook, but people are shifting towards different platforms, in my opinion. And I think their user data shows that as well.
So they're copying Twitter?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think they want to charge $11.99. And my mindset behind all of these is you first gave it to for free, right? And you used our personal data to create profiles about us, and now you're gonna charge us to use for something that was previously free, where we fed you the data to target the people. I'll be the first one to cancel pretty much all the social media. I can't live without it, and I think life would slow down more for a lot of people if they were to do that. And I think people would not be as depressed, in my opinion, right? Because a lot of people live in the crazy ass world of only posting good moments and happy moments. People don't have sad moments. They hide behind curtains. I think that would go away slowly. I think people would be depressed.
I didn't even think you were on social media except for Twitter.
I do have Facebook, but I haven't posted or like, I don't know when last time I checked. I don't
Yeah.
use it much. The only
don't
reason
post.
I use it is to stay in touch actually with my mom.
Same
She's
here.
gone
I just
and
use it to watch my daughter's pictures. I don't post anything in there for the longest.
yeah.
Yeah, I use it to stay in touch with people overseas because I've lived in a lot of countries. That's it.
Yeah. So I think this one has the best potential for filling that gap, right? So we are inside the gap, and you see that we had this huge distribution from here. And remember what we talked about, you know, about these sellers, right? Like there was a massive, obviously, seller here. He knew something here, right? Somebody knew something here, and then they drastically popped this down. Remember what I told you last time, and it also happened on SPY. I'll show you how it happened on SPY. Okay. Pay attention to this movement now, and it happens all over. It came here, right? They lost it. What did they do here on this run up to this POC? What did they do?
Made a new
Placed it.
higher high.
I mean, I would have been lost here. I would have been stopped out. But here they made a higher high. But this seller here was so aggressive. I mean, look at this imbalance candle. Look at the volume pickup between the two. Massive. And then they come back and look at this retest here. And that retest yielded better results than shorting initially here because it made a lower low, right? And now if you think about it, look at this level right here. Same level, they're not able to get over it, right? So now if you look at Meta, let's look at Meta. Now think about the same POC that I'm about to draw here. What did they do here? This one is even uglier because they gapped over it.
Yeah,
So
the
they
only
gap
way they could get above that level is to gap through it.
exactly, and that's exactly what they did. And then you have, so think about this seller. He's like, oh, you gap over it? Well, thank you. I don't have to sell it at 163. Why would I sell it there when I have retail? I can sell it to 197. So they brought it to him, and he's like, okay, well, thank you guys. I appreciate all the efforts and massive selling here. So now watch. So they're gonna come here, and most likely, I would say, if they're gonna do this, look at this POC. And that's a pretty big POC, guys. This is massive here. So if I zoom in, I went all the way back to old time. This is a pretty big level here at 190. I would say they most likely test this at least 157, the bottom start of the skinny belly. And then if they lose that, 137, and then of course, longer picture on this thing is, I know it sounds crazy, but this has a lot of potential to go like 28, 30 bucks. First cost that people cut when the recession hits at advertisement. And Google CEO already warned about it. So
yeah,
I would definitely watch this right here. I would say if you're able to lose this level right here, and if you're really, really risk averse, then you can wait for this 157 to be lost. I would short it below, right below this low here. Once we start getting into this 170 breaks or 169.5, I mean, you can catch to 165, which is 4 points. Pretty good. If you buy longer, I think you could catch it all the way to this level here, honestly. I just don't know what changed in their model to all of a sudden pump.
I think they issued a $40 billion buyback.
Well, they're really bad at buybacks. If you look at their history, they're horrific at timing their own buybacks. I mean, I think they're the worst company at buybacks. So this one looks really, really weak. NVIDIA has ER, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, Wednesday.
Okay, well, something I drew here. Oh. But this would be my ideal shorting spot where we're at now.
Yeah, I posted a
230.
play based on full send down
I
volume
had a
profile, and
what time frame was FSD?
I want to say it was like a bigger one, like 4 hour, 2 hour, something like that.
So 209, if they lose that level, I would say there's a pretty strong chance that we visit this right here after earnings.
Yeah, I posted it in member.
Yeah, I would definitely watch this. I don't know Wednesday you are. Let's see.
Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday. Yeah, the IV is gonna be pretty high on this, so not on my list of things to watch. Qs. There's Qs again coming to a supply right here and getting clapped. Right on it. So there is some support right here at 295. I would expect them to find some here. 295 is going to offer support. Yeah, that 295 is going to be a good support. If they lose that, I mean, you guys see how it's going to drag a little bit. All the way down here, and then they have 290 as a support. So once they lose that, and then here it can accelerate from 288 to 282. It can probably happen in a couple of hours. But they've had some crazy moves. You guys look at this, they've had some insane moves on NQ. And the only thing that I see every time, does anything pop out here when you guys look at chart like this? My eyes immediately see this.
Accumulating.
So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, well, I'll grab it from here to the top. And look at this profile now.
Some accumulation at the top too, right?
Yeah. So now what I like to do after I do this, I add this guy to the right. Look what happens.
Yep.
Where did POC go?
Went to the top.
Shift it to the top and you're below the POC. And then if I notice the volume, so let me go to daily here. So let's look at this. So this here looked pretty good. This one, and then of course they had a massive gap here. It looked pretty good. And then from there, you know, they've slow buying, but they're kind of accumulating here as well. Not a lot of selling, and then comes this candle here. That's okay candle. We would want it to be a little bit more volume on this one. So now if they're able to reclaim this 304.25, it can really run to the top of that, guys. It can go to like $13. So this level here, if this is broken here, there's a high chance they test this high here, because there's not really a lot of selling volume that came in here to bring it down. It was moving on a lot less volume across the picture here. So they could, you know, if they want to, they could run this. But we also know that we just saw Apple and a few other guys have some really big volume anomalies. So let's see, you know, if they get a bounce here, let's see how we react to that 305. I personally would short it here on a first try. At 305, I would take a short on this. Because the only reason I would is if you guys look at this, you're pushing up on these candles and then you get this massive red candle on 7 days. Almost above average. And I think my average here is 100 days or 30 days. So almost above 30-day average on volume. And the only day that they had above was this one and this one here. And that's a lot of selling involved and then a lot of buying. And here, you know, they didn't really have a lot either. So I would say if it goes over 305, this can really, really push higher. Till then, I would say break of that 300. Again, probably going to yield nice returns. What do you guys see here on 65? This is fairly easy to play.
Yep.
So not, just have a nice little range here. It's really not moving anywhere as people are excited here for no reason. And there's our POC that we just talked about. So they're coming here and then they have this value area low. So one, if you guys remember from the PowerPoint, if we reclaim this level here, you could play this from 302 probably to 304, really low risk. Okay, most likely get in 5 minutes, retest, go. And then if you reclaim the POC, what's your next target?
Value area high.
Yeah, then you have a nice little range, guys. This looks pretty good. And I mean, think about it. All you have to do tomorrow is watch this damn thing here on switch to 15 minutes. Don't lose sight. Have one chart in 15. Just watch the whole fucking thing and see.
That
If you
would
get
be
over
the-
this, retest and go here. That's
that
all
would
you're
be
looking
the-
for.
That would be the 80% rule, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be reclaim on the consolidation, but you know, the 80% rule on consolidation stuff is very tough because the area has been obviously explored multiple times. So that's why it's a little bit tougher to play just because it's not unknown. Okay. But this is, I would watch this simply as this 302 here, reclaim of that level, wherever that level was. Here, 302, test, boom, most likely get 2.5 points. And then if we break this 298, I would say this is in trouble then. Just because I know NQ has a lot of weak spots on the value areas. And even this, I mean, if it loses that, guys, it has a really, really strong chance to at least you can catch it here, 295. That's 3 points below here, right? And then you have 291 here on the value area high. And then, of course, I'm pretty certain this is going to be tested. I would think this is going to be tested by first week of March, but let's see. They left, they haven't come back yet. And the trigger here is going to be the 291. As soon as they lose 291, why is it damn yellow color? I can't see. So this is most likely what's going to happen here. This would be a really high probable setup. And you don't play 0DT or 1T here. You play, say it happens soon. You play probably 4 weeks out, play 280 puts, whatever that is. That's what I would play. And this would be the range I'm targeting. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you check Oxy, Shorty?
So yeah, I wanted to see if I have some shares, because I think this war is gonna happen here shortly, guys.
Wow.
Yeah, they're buying this. Yeah, they're buying this. Look at the sell-off volume. Extend this guy to the right. Do I have to tell you anything else, Drew, or you got it?
It's gonna bounce from the POC and send it higher, but
So there's two ways they can play it, right? So if they want to get a little bit aggressive on buying, they lose this. I would be a buyer here personally. At 53 shares, I'd buy it. If they bounce it and then let's say do this, then you know, I guarantee we're gonna be testing the highs here. So that'd be a nice gain, you know, from 53 to 77, $24.
You're saying the same thing I was. I was just curious if you were saying the same thing as me. That's all.
Yep. I would watch for this, but this would be a longer term short hold for me. Some of these wars have to, obviously somebody's pushing for a war. I mean, if it's not obvious by now, I don't know when it will be obvious for people. And I would hate to say, but it seems like US is the one pushing for the war, for the World War III. It seems like all the propaganda and stuff that's coming so far is potentially us pushing for it. Not sure why, but yeah. That'd be good, but just remember you're playing war news here to go higher. There's a lot of other opportunities, where you could have gotten Oxy, such as $8. If you just can't think, you can't go lower. Oil went negative.
Yeah.
So
No, I know.
so this level here, I mean, would be ideal for a retest. If it goes back to 46, for me, this is a good test to take it longer, just based off the value area high retest here. That's what I would expect.
Every time you mention that oil went negative, I still don't understand how that's possible. Like,
so it's possible because there was abundant supply of oil. The producers had all of their tanks full. Then they reached out to some tankers, and there's tankers that are public. Tankers for longest, I don't know if anyone knows any tanker symbols, but there was one with N. I forgot the name of it.
Is it Macert or something like that?
I think it was this one. No, this one. Yeah, so this one here, yeah, this one here. If you look at it, right, so where's March 2020? Where is it? Look at this. You get it at 230, and they offloaded at $9.
wow.
Right, so what happened is when the oil went negative, basically these people were like, man, we don't have anywhere to store it. We'll actually give you money if you can take the oil and store it according to the guidelines. And these tankers, like I just showed you, were like, okay, we'll come pick it up and then we'll sell it back to you. We'll create a shortage. We'll sell it back to you. We'll sell you the same gas at a higher price.
It's crazy, man.
So, I mean, it went to $34, negative 34, and people are basically like, hey, here's, barrels of oil, one contract, and you can make $4,100 for storing it. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people bought them here. And you can see some spikes in volumes here, and then of course a quick reversal here. So
Yeah, that's insane.
I would say the wars are not really planned, right? If you followed me from TA, and you remember, I did mention World War III by 2025. And I said this 4 years ago. Has
What
to be a cycle.
sucks is I know you're going to be right, but I want you to be wrong.
No, I want to be wrong too, but I mean, these people are, think about it. I mean, even now, when you think about like, if I was to put something into perspective, right? Everything has a cycle. Pharma made money. Oil made money. Who knows bigger two mafias than these industries?
Nope.
I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but these own a lot. And then when these make money, what do these media giants do? What happened to CNN viewership when COVID started?
It went down, maybe? I don't know.
No, it rocketed higher. Everybody was watching CNN because they were like, man, what's going on? Everybody's freaking out. They're scared. And then, the COVID, the vaccines came out, right? And all of that. Then, I mean, eventually it comes to be the lawyers make money, and lawyers make money after the vaccines and all of this, right? So they're going to make their money. And then airlines got cheap. And what do you see from flights perspective right now? Has anyone been flying lately with like Delta or any other companies in the US?
They're packed, aren't they?
They're packed and their prices are through the roof.
War has also always advanced technology too.
Yep. And then, of course, you have defense. I mean, think about it. We took a 400K missile to take down a $12 balloon. So I don't know if that's true or not, but companies like Raytheon and those like NOC, they're gonna make a lot of money off these rockets, man.
Oh, it's
Like-
true. I mean, it costs $10,000 to buy a hammer in the military.
Yeah, of course, those are contracts, right? So all of these have cycles, right? So pharmaceuticals, Pfizer made enough money to go away till the next pandemic comes around naturally, right? Then you have oil. I mean, if you're buying something at -40 and it went up to $100 something, I mean, that's what was the high that we hit? Where was it? We hit 130. So think about it. That's a $170 swing, right? So that company, they made money. I mean, oil made money. Media, of course, always going to make money. Then you have the lawyers, airlines. I still think airlines will fall. We'll get a better price on some of the indexes like Jets or whatnot. I think we said Jets 15 that I was watching for that level for myself. So and of course setting up a distribution right now here. Look at this here. This might be worth watching here. So it's almost like an island top here that's being made. So below 19.5, this is probably going to go to 15. So I'll watch. Then you have, I don't know how these retailers like this one is making money, but they're making money, right? They're making tons of money, and it doesn't seem like anyone's buying this crap. Look, if you're telling me this is buying, then I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I would never, ever buy a retail store, especially not Macy's. So it's a cycle, right? And then of course you see the Google and all these e-commerce companies. I mean, look at Shop, right? Went from, I don't know, like what, $500, $200 to, and it's not done, 23. I think it can go lower, and their CEO is mad for some reason. So this is proper selling, and this is, you guys see the proper buying here?
Nope. Volume
Yeah.
anomaly.
Yeah, you guys remember that level, 51.12? Yeah, I should. There was a massive POC there. So that's a pretty good entry short, but they have earnings, right? No? They already had it?
Yeah, 5 days ago.
Oh. Look at the surprise. 600%.
Crazy.
Yeah, sure. Did anyone read their earnings report?
They'll need you to teach me that.
Let's look at one right now real quick. As you get older, you're gonna need to increase this.
That's what we have loose for.
Yeah. I'm just reading their highlights, right? So here they will highlight what they have done, like what products, what they're updating. So this is fairly big. You guys see this? Pretty big here. I don't use Shop ever, but this is their big expense. And here's some bullshit. So let me show you. This is their to make green people happy. Okay, this is a big deal. Wow. You guys see anything interesting here? So remember, there was a lot of headwind with FX, right? A lot of companies struggled against currency, and a lot of them had headwinds of more than 4%. They only had 2%, which is not bad. I'm interested to see their revenue, US versus everywhere else. And here's something interesting. Do you take note? You know, you look at the gross margin for the quarter was 46 compared to 50.5 Q4. So they're going a little bit lower, and they have a, whoever wrote this would be fired in most companies.
They just stuttered a little bit.
I guess they have a really problem with spelling deliver.
It's just a stutter.
Poor guy or girl.
You can't fire somebody over a speech impediment.
Yeah, he should not be writing their financial summary.
It's not a
For sure.
typo, it's the name of a program.
Oh.
Is it? Is it really?
Yes, because they're purposefully capitalizing it and adding a second R. You wouldn't put a capitalize on the word deliver.
That's true. I was about to say that this guy should be fired or a girl.
I prefer the speech impediment.
Yeah, it sounded better.
I thought you were supposed to say it like a pirate.
That's a
It's
pretty
not
good
bad.
one too.
This is a big deal, right? So any company that's in e-commerce and like software, you want to see this, you know, subscription revenue grow, and pretty much all investors like to see this number to grow. Does anyone know why?
More users.
Of course, but as an investor, why do you want to see a lot of your revenue being on subscription based and contracted for a year?
Because it's continuous, almost guaranteed income.
Guaranteed income, right? So when you tell an investor, hey, all of my subscription and it's contracted for a year is growing 40%. If you guys want to learn about this, I challenge you to find Adobe 2002 earnings and kind of read highlights of how their subscription revenue grew almost like 90%. They're really not lowering capital. Sure, give us the numbers. I mean, they're growing. Their R&D popped. What do you see here that popped? Doubled.
So that's salaries, right?
No, well, it can be, but no, there's a lot of other shit hidden in here when they hide it. So when it's G&A, when it's not direct cost of a product, right? And usually you have COGS, right? Cost of goods sold. That's directly related to the product you're selling. This seems just a awfully high increase of 100%. I mean, you had income here, loss income here, you're losing. I mean, look at this.
Loss doubled.
but their revenue is growing at the expense of a higher expenses, right? So
Yeah.
that's not good. And then you want to look at, you want to look at the assets here quickly. Assets going down. Some long-term stuff. They have property PP&E here. Look at the long-term here. They have a little bit of lease here. Wow. There, let's see here. Cash flow from operating. Whew.
The stock-based compensation almost 2x'd.
But look at this. I mean, from operating activities, you went from $500 million to negative. This is it's not good. So think about this right here. Look at this line here. Where's Shopify investing to make $2.9 billion? So should they stick to this instead of anything else they're doing? Just keep investing $2.9 billion in a quarter, coming from a $2.6 billion loss from prior quarter of previous year. I personally exclude these lines when I look at companies. Because for me, you can't predict this, right? I mean, that's a $6 billion swing. So I don't include this when I look at companies. I mean, they said it's in line with previous year. I don't know how is this in line. Their deferred revenue is also going down. Let's look at investing. So that helped. They acquired somebody here. Let's see. You guys see anything interesting here? This. Where's the
Cash is
cash?
going down.
It's just they're burning through it. So their profit is going down. And they're losing 4%. Spending more on R&D. Percent of revenue. Spending more. Their G&A pretty much doubled. Expenses growing. They seem to be having an issue with the expenses. They can't get it under control. And then I guess we got to work for Shop. They're just handing out stock. Look at this. All of this is adjusted, but here's your operating income. That's I'm not sure why the CEO was upset. He said that he's mad at short sellers. I don't think the short sellers are a problem here. I would plug some of these into a spreadsheet and look at it, but I just don't see the growth in this one. I think it's going to go back to about 12 bucks. I'll look for that one short on the swing if it can break here. So it dumped from 50 to 43 and it has support here at 41. It reached even 55. That's crazy. Baba's very close to a collapse, and Baba's most likely going here. I think Drew, you tagged me in something while I was on vacation on Baba. I think there was some orders coming in.
I don't think that was me.
It was. I think it was somebody buying 100K orders on Baba. Shares, meaning.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Because you knew I was short. I mean, once we lose this, guys, there's at least you can catch 5 points below 100. Once they lose that, you can catch nice 95, and then eventually it's going to go to 87. I'm in September puts, so $10 in the money now. Okay. What else do you guys have? Any?
Can you look at buy really quick for Cuban?
Yeah, please, Shorty.
He's in pain and he wants you to go over it before he calls it a day.
Of course.
And then I do have one more after that.
Thank you, sir.
So here they're just consolidating and they popped from here. And then here you'll have a little SR test. Right here at, I would say 408 level. So if you're able to reclaim that, most likely you'll go to that 410. You should be familiar with that one. If we pop over that, I would say that they're going to target the 410. So $2 moves above this level. They might fill this gap overnight. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. They might fill this overnight. And if not, I would say that if you look at this whole thing now, POC is going to be here somewhere at 405-ish. And there goes.
Yeah, 405
right,
down
405.
400.
This is going to be a good bounce zone here, in my opinion. They're going to come back here. And I think, so if you're not comfortable, don't play 0 DT. 0 DTs have become really, really high risk at this point because they're using it daily on SPX, and there's a lot of gamma kind of manipulation, and a lot of market makers are trying to bank off of it, off from retail. So I suggest you guys start playing SPY 1 DTE if you're going to be playing SPY.
Yeah.
So here, if you're playing 405s, I personally would probably buy like 407, 406. Not far out of the money, but you don't have to buy as large quantity if your account doesn't allow. But then you can have a little bit more, more stop loss management in terms of position, right?
Sure.
So if you're going long here, let's say you could probably target somewhere around here to be your stop loss, I would say. You could do this, you can see what it does, 2.5. Then you can come and hide behind this one, and this is a pretty good trade here. So a high chance if you come back here, if you lose it, you'll come back, and you can target multiple ways. You could get out here, or you could get out right here, which would be probably a better way to play it. 2.8 is not too bad.
So 405, 407.
Yep, I'll play it 405 to 40. What is this? 406-ish.
Yeah.
And if you have
And then
multiple, then run 50
if
cents more.
And if it pops over 410, then 412.
Yep, 412 will be big.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
Yep. I'll post the levels on SPY.
Good night, guys.
Night. Feel better, man.
Thank you, guys.
Would you mind
Feel better,
looking?
man.
at Walmart, Shorty, but there's a catch. It has earnings like tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, they're gonna sell this off. In my opinion, they're gonna sell this off. It's just accumulating here or setting up a distribution. There's your value area high. If they cross over that level, that's gonna be a big level. And then if you just look at the trend lines here, it's gonna line up right there. So when's the earnings you said? Day after tomorrow. So they could potentially push this out. If there was no earnings, I would short it here. Just because that's the value area high since, I mean, talking about, 2 years, 3 years. And anytime they facilitated the price above, what happened?
Rejected lower.
And there's no buyers on this above this level right now. And if you think about, setups,
That's a diamond top.
yeah, and you have a broadening formation here, which usually are pretty good. And like you said, there's on smaller time frames, I would say you have a diamond top. I would not buy this personally at at these levels. This is not something. This is not my cup of tea, I guess, for buying shares. If I was to be a betting man, I would short it with some time. Because they reclaimed this, but they never accepted this value here at 132. So if they go here, that would mean they executed the whole value trade. Buy low, they sell high here. Remember, they got rejected. So if they come here and they reject it, it would mean that they're really accepting prices lower and they don't want to go higher. So I think and it's getting tight here, super tight. I think that falls off. If that's what you're asking me about this, but I don't know. I personally don't trade earnings.
Yeah, it's not for me. It's for YouTube.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's flow or positioning on it of any kind, but if you look here.
Earnings is actually tomorrow before open.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's gonna set the day, but there was some buying here at the end. Right here at the end. So let's see what they do. I mean, this 150 level is going to be big. What's the implied move on it?
I don't know. Sorry. I mean, I can pull it up if you want.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't care. I would just take the first money in the strike, second the call, and I put multiply by, add them up, multiply by 85%. And that's your move. But this looks like, I mean, for most, it would be bullish setup here. The volume is picking up here. On a weekly also volume. I think they're going to push this higher, but then I would look to, it's going to fade away. I think it breaks, fades away just like it did every time here. So let's see.
Yeah. Would you mind checking HD, Shorty?
Yeah, that'll be the last one. Well, they've had quite a run. Yeah, it looks like buyer's exhaustion here. I don't know why I can't click right now. So they had some here. I mean, we haven't tested the top yet, but the buyers are really weak here. I mean, at least they're not buying even at the lows of this range. See the volume.
Yeah.
They're not interested. I mean, they bought it up here, not heavily, and then they're stopping. So if they're to break this 3, I would say 50 level, then they have a run up. But I would say this looks to me like maybe first trap and then go down. But no trade for me on this one here. If I was to look swing trades, there's nothing here. I mean, look at this. Looks like a barcode. Smaller time frames, I'm pretty sure you can find some scalps here. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of liquidity being generated here at this level, like 311-ish. I remember me and you played this one off of 300 one time.
Yep, 300. Big old bounce from like 300 to 320, I think.
Yeah, I had a full send. Yeah, if I was to play the spike now, it would probably be somewhere around here, just because this POC here. Yeah, it's right there. The POC 310, but right now it's in the middle of no level for me. And if I was to think, this would be setting up for all the bearish money shots on clouds, at least on larger time frames.
Yeah, I think the last time I looked, it was setting up for bearish.
Yeah, it would make sense. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. I'll be live tomorrow. We'll see what we can do.
All right, thanks, Shorty.
All right, guys. See you.
Good night.
Good night.
Take it easy.